hello. Welcome to the kitchen. While everybody today is out touring historic barns, we're here in my kitchen today and we're going to do a different kind of barn project. We're actually going to build a barn. Now, don't call out the barn contractors because this one has to do with graham crackers. Over here I have a finished product which I have given my little twist to, but this would be really fun for kids to do because I found a simple way to do it. So as we get started, I wanted to show you the ingredients. One I've already hinted at. We're going to have some graham crackers in different shapes and sizes. We're also going to have some little wheat checks or any other kind of checks that you have in the cereal boxes in your kitchen. Got some pretzels, little stick pretzels. Don't get them too big. And then I have some of these little sweet chews, and they can be used for different things as well. Tinted coconut, some little gel icing, decorator icings, and you might need some of this non-stick cooking spray. Let's go back to the step one and let's build a barn together. Now, if you'd like to have a barn that's somewhat colored, this is a point where you can stop and think about using the little fruit chews. I just took them out of the wrapper, put them in the microwave for about 10 seconds to warm them up. Then I brought them to my cutting board and I rolled them out with my little roller, and it was so simple. I've got different colors here that come in the package depending on which one you want, but you'll notice that I used the red one in this barn over here to cover that one, and I kind of liked what it did. But that's only optional, and if you have small kids, that might be a little bit difficult if you're doing this kind of as a fun family project. So I actually use scissors to cut my little pointed part of the barn. Now, it's your own personal preference where you want this side out or you'd rather have the smoother surface. So that's something you'll want to think about ahead of time before you start to build. But all we're going to do is take this little white decorator icing, and I'm going to spread it down the side here. And I kind of like to start it with a lot of icing so I have plenty of glue. And I'm going to do that with all the ends in my barn. All right, and I think I'm going to use the smooth surface out. And that way I can glue on some other things easier. So let me put that together. And remembering to keep that smooth side out. Okay, and you can see now it's standing, and at this point it's a really good idea to let it set for probably 3 to 4 hours so it really firms up. You could put it in the freezer and speed up the process too. But this is one of the things that I used that I thought was a good idea that helped me to take off some of that excess icing at different spots around. I also experimented with a Q-tip, and that worked really well too. Well, I've already had my fun building the little barn today, but it's no fun unless you share it with someone else today. So I have some special guests with me to finish off one of our barns, and this is Heather Tiefenthaler and her daughter Cameron. And Heather is the co-chair of the barn tour. So when I say special guest, I meant that. So they're going to do and have a little fun finishing this barn for me. So, what do you think here? Barns are an important part of the agricultural landscape. Not just that they housed animals, but they also seem to come into our homes in furniture styles and for little kids' toys and where they played. And we have a background of one of those today as we interview the co-chair of the Barn Tour Committee. And that would be Heather Tiefenthaler. Now, that's kind of a hard name to get out and probably even to spell. But what's most important is all that you give to this committee. And since we're talking about the history of barns and people have that on their mind today, tell us a little bit about the history of this barn tour project.
A lady by the name of Donna Sue Groves in Adams County, Ohio, felt the need to honor her mother, and she placed a barn quilt on her mother's barn. Her mother's name was Maxine Groves, and we felt it was important for us to continue the Champaign County. We found it's an opportunity for us to celebrate our more than 800 barns that are more than 50 years old, and to invite folks to come into Champaign County and see what we have to offer. So the tour is actually a 365-day-a-year opportunity for people to come out and celebrate agritourism with us.
Well, that's pretty interesting, and it involves people and stories and families, which I'm sure you've heard a lot of. But why is a project like this important to the community, to families?
Well, first of all, it brought attention to the barns that we do have and their historical significance for farming in our communities. Secondly, quilting in itself, quilts told a story in each of those that were produced. The family members made them for special occasions, and they were benchmarks in history. We felt combining those two ideas was very significant and a way that we could celebrate our true roots in our community.
And quilts tell a story of their own, too, so combining them is a great idea. I'm really impressed with that, too. But could you tell me a little bit about what are some of the features for this year's tour?
Well, this year we chose to include our businesses more and our homeowners that weren't necessarily on the tour. We asked them to put a display out in their businesses or storefronts with a quilt, maybe of their historical significance. It meant something to their family members. And so we had great participation. You could drive down the road and see fall setting with a quilt displayed, and that was turned into a contest. Secondly, we felt it was important if someone was just driving down one of our county roads to be able to get information about the tour. Maybe they would see the barn quilt and not quite know what it was. So we put like a real estate style box out at the end of the road with our brochures in them, and that allows people just to stop, take a look, take some pictures, maybe get out of their car and say, gosh, are there more of these? And sure enough, there's 40 barn quilts that are on display right now in our county.
Well, this is really encouraging another generation to talk about Grandmother and Grandfather's Day rather than just reading it out of a history book. That's what's really neat. So what are you going to plan to do different next year to make it bigger and better?
Well, we've got lots of great ideas. Obviously, since the tour just happened in September, we're kind of taking a small break. But our committee is actively pursuing opportunities for groups to do driving tours. We know we have a lot of car clubs, classic car clubs, and motorcycle groups we plan to target to say, if you have an opportunity to come to Champaign County, make it that weekend. Come out and see the Fish and Shrimp Festival. Come to Robert Rothschild's farms, maybe Cedar Bog, or some of the other opportunities that Champaign County offers.
Well, Heather, we really want to thank you. I want to thank you for all the hard work you've done on the committee to make it successful, for all the countless number of volunteers that we don't have time to interview. This just isn't about our county and our community. It's about families coming together and doing something and learning about agriculture and quilts.
Down the Road is brought to you in part by Prince Agra, makers of Omnigen AF, advancing animal nutrition for healthy animals, and Woodruff Enterprise of Springfield, Ohio.